Hello and welcome to another Sprues and Brews video and the start of our Warhammer Age of Sigmar Stormbringer Magazine coverage. So first of all, just want to say massive thanks to Hachette Partworks for sending us the Stormbringer collection for free to review and unbox on the site. Over the run of the magazine series, what we'll be doing is checking out the magazines, seeing what miniatures that you get, breaking down the value that's in each of them and seeing what is in the collection. A lot of people will have seen these Partworks in the past. There's been a couple of 40k ones and there's been an Age of Sigmar one before. This one is focused on the forces of order and destruction, and as we'll see as we go through the magazines, throughout the run you can build considerable forces for both those sides. Over on spruesandbrews.com I've previously done a bit of a analysis into what miniatures that you get, how many points worth of models that are contained in the magazine, and the savings that you can get, especially if you subscribe to the magazine. So yeah, over the run of the magazine we'll be checking these out on the channel. We've got some content over on spruesandbrews.com as well, where we'll be chronicling our progress on building and painting up the armies there too, and have a little bit more information. So what we're going to do is crack these open and have a look what is inside issues 1 and 2. So let's kick things off with issue 1 of the magazine. I know a lot of people have this in their hands at the minute. The normal cost of the magazine is $8.99, but issue 1 is a bit of an introductory price of $2.99, and if you subscribe you actually get issue 2 free as part of the subscription. We won't go into it too much in this video, but over on spruesandbrews.com I've got a full breakdown into the value of the subscription, what freebies you get and all the goodies. We'll have a quick look at that later on, but if you want kind of an in-depth look at it, head over to the site. I'll put a link in the description as well. But yeah, this is a series very much aimed at people maybe getting into Age of Sigmar, new players, but I think there's going to be a lot of content in there for existing players too, certainly from the miniature point of view. We'll have a look at the miniatures in a little bit. But first we'll just have a jump through the magazine and see what exactly is in there. So the magazine collection is split over a few different areas, covering the subjects of read, collect, build, paint and play. All about embracing the different facets of the Warhammer hobby. So there's going to be lore in here. So that includes brand new lore that's been written just for this magazine, as well as information about the various forces and armies you're collecting. We then see a bit of a breakdown of what we're collecting. So over again the run of the magazine, as different units are introduced, we'll find some information about them, see what they do, and some cool narrative bits in there as well. Obviously we need to build the miniatures, so we get the information for that in there, as well as painting them. Now we don't get any paints until issue 4 of the magazine, but as the run of the magazine goes on, as more paints are introduced, we'll see more information of how to paint them and how to put them together. And then there's a kind of a play section which is a step-by-step kind of introductory way of learning Age of Sigmar. It doesn't throw all the concepts at you straight away, it does it in bite-sized chunks, as we'll see in this. So yeah, really cool magazine. Artwork is awesome, but obviously a lot of this is reused from other books, but I can see this being really appealing to people who are new into the hobby. I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of brand new lore is in there too, but it's a really nice way of framing it. One of my favourite things about the magazine is the narrative kind of twist to this. So in the first issue we see the first character for both the Stormcast and the Cruel Boys, and we get some really cool things like being able to kind of roll up your traits and your name of your character, and then there's like an achievement system. So as your character completes various things over the run of the magazine, they'll unlock new abilities, and I think that's really cool. We over on Sprues and Brews are kind of very much into Path to Glory and narrative play, and much prefer that style of play than super hardcore match play. And obviously if you're a matchcore player, this magazine will be good for, you know, the miniatures and, you know, a cheap way of getting hold of certain units. But from someone who's maybe looking to start the game and kind of embrace that narrative side, I really love stuff like this. We then get the instructions how to build all of the models in this issue. So we've got the Knight Arcanum and the Killer Boss and Stabgrot. So have a quick look at those frames now that we're on that section of the magazine. These are the same ones that were in the Dominion set. I believe they've also been in some of the kind of cheap entry intro sets that some of Games Workshop have put out, which contain a selection of models and kind of how to play kind of guide. So It's hard to put a value on these ones. On the website, approximately, I've put this as £20 for the sprue, basically £10 per hero. Obviously, you can't buy this by itself on the shop, but for a $2.99 magazine, I think that's a pretty good thing to get included. And the killer boss has got a couple of options as well, so if you did want to have both of the weapon options on there, you could pick up multiples to represent that, so that's pretty cool. We then see an intro into how to paint models. Now, obviously, it doesn't go into the actual techniques for painting the models in the set on this one, because we haven't got any paints. Instead, it kind of gives you the theory that, you know, you base coat things, then you shade it, and then you do the highlights to get it ready for the battlefield. So obviously issue 4 will start getting those paints, and I believe it'll start introducing different concepts like dry brushing, highlighting, shading, all that kind of stuff. So if you've never painted before, that's a really nice way of kind of getting into the hobby, so that's really fun. We then learn about Age of Sigmar as well itself, and we get a kind of more abstracted basic intro game kind of set up to teach you how to play. So one thing to call out on here, it does mention wound markers on the back cover. Due to a printing issue, they've not been printed, so instead they're going to be included later on down the run of the magazine. But what you could do is use some of the dice that are included in the magazine, and there's six-sided dice included, which is really, really handy because it means that players can, you know, start playing straight away using this. And yeah, basically it'll abstract things a little bit. So rather than using movement characteristics, in this set we get a full kind of battle map, which is really cool. We open this up and you can see there are kind of circles on here, so we'll abstract things a little bit by saying a unit can move from one circle to another circle. So that kind of lets you kind of start to play the game and learn how to do these concepts without having to rely on the movement stats, which may be included a couple of issues down into the magazine. On the reverse of this, we do also get a kind of I guess quote marks normal side, and I suspect in a couple of issues it will then say, okay, cool, up until this point you've been moving circle to circle, now things have got a movement stat, so you can then move around the battlefield and fight. But I think that was a really nice way of introducing new players to the game. It will then talk through the dice roll, so you've got to try and hit them, you've got to try and wound them. We don't go into armour saves and stuff at this point, but again, this is very much my first kind of game of Warhammer, which again, it's a nice way of doing it. It just makes it a little bit more accessible. Obviously, for a lot of us old school players, this will be very familiar, and you know, for a lot of people, yeah, a lot of this is going to be intro stuff, and you're maybe just picking it up for the miniatures, but I would give the magazine a go. I think there's some cool stuff in there. So also in the set we get a poster which has got the full artwork from the front of the limited edition rulebook for Age of Sigmar, which is really, really nice piece of artwork. But there's some stuff on here as well, so we get to see the entire collection, which we'll look at in a little bit, and all the stuff that we get. So it's not just miniatures in here, it's paints too, and it looks like you get a wide assortment of paints. Now, I've done a post over on the website which kind of breaks down the approximate value based on what pots that we've got. Hopefully as the magazine run goes on, I'll have a bit more idea on the specific paints that we get. But it also looks like a selection of brushes which are expanded upon if you get the subscription. There's some other brushes and stuff that you get in there too, so that's pretty cool. And then there's a massive kind of Order Force and Destruction Force. Cruel Boys, Gloomside Gits and Iron Jaws on the Destruction side, and Stormcast Eternal, Sylvaneth and Caradron Overlords on the Order side. So yeah, pretty big forces. And one option that is in this magazine run, if I can find the page, are premium subscriptions. So this is basically an additional subscription fee. So it's £2 per issue, extra on top of what you paid. But that unlocks a couple more additional sets throughout the run of the magazine. The first one being Crondis under Dracothian, which I believe off the top of my head is £95. Now, next week at the time of recording this, GW are increasing their prices by 6%, I want to say. So, yeah, over the course of the run of the magazine, there's a substantial saving. If you're saying, you know, a couple of kits nearing £100, you've got all of the Caradron stuff there, so a gun hauler, an etheric navigator and 3 sky wardens, and then the final set is a load of stuff for your Gloomspite Gits, which is a Dankhold Troggoth and 3 Rotgut Troggoths. Those combined with the stuff that you get normally over the run of the magazine gives you thousands and thousands of points for each side, which is really, really cool. I really like that. Again, on the website I've got a breakdown of the value savings on that. But basically, you double the money's worth in miniatures if you do go for the premium subscription. So that's a pretty cool option. There's also some freebies as well that you get if you do take out the sub. So you get clippers, plastic glue, mold line remover, some brushes, a heat changing mug, some binders. There's a misprint on here. I think this is from one of the earlier runs of the magazine. The free model is actually the Cruel Boys squad leader limited model. I forget his name. It came out as a store only model, I want to say, for the anniversaries, and you can't pick it up anymore. So nice little kind of limited figure, which is pretty cool. Now the final thing that we get in issue 1 is a breakdown of the forces within the magazine too, which is really, really cool. So you go through all of the kind of the armies themselves and what stuff that you get. So for the Stormcast, there's some really cool stuff. So Bastion, Guard of Steel Soul, the Lord Imperator with Gryph-hound, Lord Arctor, Knight Judicator with Gryph-hounds, Knight Arcanum, Vindictors, another unit of Vindictors, Vigilers, Vanquishers, a Stormstrike Chariot, Stormdrake Guard, which again is another big expensive kit, Praetors, and that actually includes a limited edition leader model for those Praetors. That's going to be exclusive to the magazine, a unit of Gryph-hounds, and the Truth Seekers from Warhammer Underworlds. In addition to that, for the Order side, you also get some Sylvanus stuff, so an Arch Revenant, a Branch Witch, a Spirit of Durthu, a unit of Tree Revenants, a unit of Spike Revenants, and Ithari's Guardians. And then for the Caradron Overlord, you get an Arcanor Admiral, Endrin Master Individual Suit, Grundstock Thunderers, and Thundrix Profiteers. So again, really, really nice force. And again, those are kind of expanded with the bits that you get in the premium sub. Flipping it over, we see what we get in the destruction side, and there's some really, really good stuff in here, including when you factor in all the stuff out the premium, almost a full Gloomspite Gits army, which is really fun. So for the Cruel Boys, we get the Swamp Boss Scumdrek, Killer Boss with Stabgrot, Swamp Caller Shaman with Potgrot, Gut Rippers, Hobgrot Slitters, another unit of Hobgrot Slitters, Manskewer Bolt Boys, and they are the multi-part ones, not the push-fit ones, Beast Skewer Killbow, a Marshcrawler Sloggoth, and a Cunning Crew. You get a tiny Iron Jaws army, a Mega Boss, a War Chanter, a unit of Hard Boys, and Iron Scores Boys. That is a weird one because you'd need multiple of the Hard Boys to have like a legal army, but again, that's easily done, and you know, Uruks are pretty cheap to pick up anyway. The star of the show for me is the Gloomspite Gits. They're very strong at the minute in the game, and you get a lot of good stuff in here. So Scragrot the Loon King, a Loon Boss on Cave Squig, a Fungoid Cave Shaman, a unit of Shooters, which obviously you can build as Stabbers if you want to, Boingrot Bounders, a Squig Herd, Sneaky Snufflers, Loon Smasher Fanatics, an Elguzzler Gargant, Zarbag's Git, and Molog's Mob. So yeah, really, really cool stuff. I'm looking forward to building these forces up. So that's everything that's in issue 1 of the magazine. Let's have a look at issue 2. So moving on to issue 2 of the magazine. Now this one is actually free if you subscribe to the series. I believe it's $5.99 if you are not a subscriber, and it's a pretty good one to pick up for that. You get a set of Gut Rippers here for the Cruel Boys. Now, first of all, I want to point out this isn't the multi-part kit that you can buy separately from Games Workshop. This is the push fit one out of Dominion, but I'd still say for the kind of the price of the mag, this is definitely worth picking up to fill out your battle line units for your Cruel Boys. Especially if you're picking up this magazine, you'll want a couple of units of these anyway to represent your battle line units for your Cruel Boys army. So a second one of these is not a bad idea in order to get a legal force. Now, you do get some hobgrots, and for each unit of these, you can take a unit of hobgrots as your battle line choice, and you do get the bolt boys as well, which in a specific Cruel Boys army build, they can become battle line. If you're not doing them though, you probably will want another set of these in order to make a legal army. So while it's cheap, I'd definitely pick them up, because this is going to be like the backbone of your army. So yeah, really cool miniatures in there. If you have a look at the magazine itself, this will give us a bit more of a kind of impression into what the usual content will be within Stormbringer Magazine. So we learn about the realms in this one, and we learn about the grand alliances of order and destruction as well. So like I say, a lot of established players will know a lot of this already. They'll know the forces, but you know, certainly for new players, this is going to be great information to kind of get their imagination going and give you a bit more information about the mortal realms and what they are and the various forces that fight over them. We learn about the gut rippers in here as well, and what's really nice that in issue 1 obviously we get the characters with their customization and traits and names and stuff. This looks like it's going to be something that they do for every unit they introduce throughout the magazine run, which is really, really fun for narrative play. So again, we kind of roll up the name of the character, his unit trait, we've got different achievements they can unlock, and then quite a few charts on here that you can use to name the rest of the unit as well. So really, really fun. Like if you play Soulbound, the Age of Sigmar role-playing game, a lot of this stuff will be useful for that too, which is really cool. And yeah, from a narrative point of view, you've got to name all your guys, haven't you? So really, really like that, and I'm glad that it looks like that they're doing this for every unit that's introduced throughout the magazine, which is cool. We then learn how to build gut rippers. Again, like I say, these are push fit ones, so you won't need any glue for these. You can just cut them off the sprue, clean them up, and this will show you how to build each of these. So if this where you've only got a couple of hero characters in the first issue, this might be a little bit more complex if you've not built any miniatures before, but this is a nice introduction to doing them. Now, it's been a while since I built some gut rippers. There might be a few where a little dab of glue will just hold them in place a little better, but they will certainly, you know, be usable in games if you just push fit them. The bases come with a little hexagonal hole, and the models have a peg on the foot, so they just push into that, and then you can get them going on the table. Obviously, at some point you might want to stick them together, but certainly a lot of the push fit models that I've built, I've had no issues at all not using any glue at all. The only thing I'd maybe do is put a little bit of glue on the foot just to hold it onto the base, because they can come loose a little bit. But yeah, really, really cool models too. They're very kind of thematic and a nice look for, I guess it's a new orc faction, isn't it? Something a bit different than the traditional orcs and goblins. From a gaming point of view, we learn about the mechanics of armour saves as well. So we mentioned in the first issue, you kind of learn how to hit and to wound. They now bring saves into the mix as well. So similar setup, you set up your models on the grid as suggested, and then it will talk you through kind of moving your units forward, making those attacks, making the wounds, and now making the saves as well, and seeing if your various fighters can survive the battle. So that is a bit of fun. So yeah, we also get a bit of a sneak peek into what's coming in the next couple of issues too. So issue 3 is from the standard $8.99 price, and you get a unit of 5 Vindictors. They're going to be the kind of like the core battle line of your Stormcast army. They're a really good unit, they're really nice models, so yeah, definitely a decent inclusion to the magazine. And then issue 4, you get your paintbrush and your first 4 paints as well. So again, pretty decent assortment there. By then, I suspect that one is going to be a painting heavy issue, teaching you how to paint the stuff that you've got in your collection so far. There's certainly colours there for the skin of the Uruks and the kind of armour of the Stormcast. And then as more paints get introduced, I imagine it will call out to go back to previous models and add those additional colours and start adding shades and highlights and getting them to a more kind of battle ready standard. But yeah, that was a look at issues 1 and 2 of Stormbringer Magazine. Really, really fun. I'm looking forward to seeing what we get over the course of the magazine. Obviously there's a lot of great value in the miniatures over the entire run. Like I said at the start of the video, if you head over to spruesandbrews.com, I have a full breakdown of what you get in the magazine, how much it will cost you for the full run, and how much you'll save as well. We're going to be following this each month. As I say, my thanks to Hachette for sending us the subscription for free to do the content on the site. So as each issue comes out, we'll be doing one of these videos. We'll be doing a write-up on the website as well, and building up and painting the figures, and hopefully having some battles using the content of this magazine too. That is the plan. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this video. The next one will be out as soon as we receive the next package. So if you have enjoyed this, why not give us a follow? We do lots of unboxings and battle reports, and we do a painting live stream on the site every Sunday, 7 till 9 UK time too. And we'll be painting up some of the Stormbringer models on that stream too. So if you do want to see these painted, check that out. But until next time, have an amazing time, and we'll see you soon.